I'm gonna tell you now. I'm a heavy scripture person, so I hope I don't overload you, but I probably won't overload you. So it's okay. Um, but Mark 10:8 says, "And the two are united into one, since they are no longer two but one." So what she was talking about in regards to the soul ties, when you come together, you have to remember sin, which is fornication, whatever the sin is, but you're specifically talking about abstaining. When you sin, what you do is you open doors for things that are unclean to kind of come and contaminate you, if you will. And with that, a lot of times we make these bonds and these connections and come into agreement in these areas, not realizing that it's opening all these doors for all these things to come and reside within us. Because remember, we're body, soul, and spirit. That's First Thessalonians 5:23. If anybody wants to write it down. And the one I just read was Mark 10:8. So because we're body, soul, and spirit, there's connections that happen. There's spirit ties. I don't really hear too many people talking about spirit ties a lot, but there's spirit ties, there's soul ties, and then there's fleshly ties. Those are kind of easy to kind of pick up on. But when you get down to dealing with soul ties and spirit ties, sometimes it becomes a little bit more difficult to kind of see. So anyway, so the two become one flesh. And so what happens is you begin to take on or carry on whatever that person is carrying. So let's say, for example, you date somebody who's I don't know, who has the spirit of fear or guilt or whatever. When you connect with them and come into agreement, you make a covenant with them. And that covenant is an ungodly covenant, right? So when you make ungodly covenants or you come into agreement, the scripture, and I'm going to show the difference. The scripture says, where 2 or 3 gather together in my name, touching or agreeing, it's the one before it. Agreeing on any one thing, you can count it done, right? So this is the way God operates. If 2 people come into agreement, then God hears us, answers, and does it for us. Now, because the enemy wants to mimic and imitate everything that God does, it's not original. We just everything God does, like, oh, I'm gonna do that too. I'm gonna do like God. So what he does is, when we come into ungodly covenants and agreements, what he does is he sends things as well. And so he sends these things to reside with us, to torment us, to be there, to lie dormant sometimes in us. Sometimes we realize it, like I said, sometimes we don't. So these things are there, and so you've built these bonds with these people. And I won't get too deep, even though I
get too
deep. There's something called, there's something called a spirit husband and a spirit wife, right? So a lot of times,
Stop. I'm gonna have her do that. Sorry.
what's she doing?